Sweet. We're just going to walk over price from last week. Going to try and do both pairs at the same time. We'll see how it goes. Um, and yeah, we'll go from there. So basically, coming into the week, like we predicted, we've induced on GU into a 2 hour point that helped break through a 4 hour low. So very, very simple basics. 4 hour low. What's led to the 4 hour low? Well, we've got this, which is a demand to supply. You can expect a reaction. This is also a retest of that. So more than likely not, it can still come and take it. But being intraday traders, we want to catch sells and buys. So very, very straightforward and simple. Then we've got EU with equal highs, which we can expect to be gone, especially coming from daily retest. Has come into the last point, which broke through and created a huge leg of structure. We've taken trend line, retest, everything above that. Basically, can expect a reaction. Like I've explained, and you guys have probably heard me say this 4 million times, when price is coming from a big part of liquidity, it's going to push up, it's going to break structure, induce, and continue. Like it is literally going to just keep trapping people. So we want to sell until it traps sellers in to then buy again. So basically, on the 4 hour, you can see we've got a huge point that led to the break. We jump down to a lower time frame. We can basically expect, well, what induces sellers from the supply giving it? Obviously, it has value. Break of structure, what does that get? Sellers involved. Point, inducement, mitigation, push. Okay, very, very straightforward and simple. Same with GU. What have we got? We've got point here. You've got point here under liquidity. So once you get that initial break, the sellers in the market, we can look to ping pong price to and from. Okay. And that's how you kind of predict price and where it's going. Okay. This all needs to make sense because we've induced into the mitigation on GU. So we've taken a fuck ton of liquidity. We've induced into a mitigation. We can expect a response in the opposite direction. We've taken an hourly high. I can kind of expect an hourly response or somewhat that gives me a response that at least gives me a trade to take. And we kind of go from there. So we can jump down to the 15 minute. I will mark out. We'll see how this fucking goes. Doing two pairs. It's going to be interesting. I'll skip to London Open. I don't see anything coming into the week. I won't do trade during Asian session. That's kind of for next week with Dylan. He won't probably do both pairs at the same time. But when you watch through it, he will do every time of the day. So use that for that type of approach. If anything comes, we'll obviously have a look. But for me, nothing that I'll look at taking. So if we just read price, very straightforward and simple. We've kind of got internal breaks, basically, just internal breaks moving the way down. You can kind of expect we're going to come to a demand and then get a reaction out of demand of some point. You've obviously got break, retest, which creates this demand here. So more or less, you would expect a reaction of some sort off of this point to either push into a selling point to then sell, or vice versa. So you can kind of know where price is heading for the start of the day. See what obviously happens. Obviously, we're just when nowhere at the moment. There's nothing to really do. Cool. All right. If it wants to fucking stop, doesn't want to stop. Beautiful. So what have we got? We've got obviously internal break, which has come up. Jump on the 5 minute here. Let me. Beautiful. We've got, if we read structure, you've kind of got break, retested break, push, retested break, push. So that for me is my 5 minute structure right here. When was the 5 minute break? Here, retest, push. So we had taken retest into the mitigation of, funnily enough, last 5 minute point. So just straight bearish price action, very, very bearish. When's the next 5 minute break? 5 minute break, which has obviously created a bit of retest for the mitigation and continue on. So very straightforward and simple here. Just give me a sec. Multitasking, so need to make sure my internet fucking holds up. Bear with me. Yeah, that should be good. Making sure my internet fucking holds on for dear life.
I'm loving the bits when you go straightforward and simple. I'm just going, yeah, okay, no worries.
If you need me to refine something that I've brought up, just hassle me and
Yeah.
we'll go over it. Mm, Cool. All right. Should be okay with any luck now. Bear with me. I'm just making sure this doesn't cut out. It's going to be a bitch to redo. Let me open that up. Cool. Beautiful. All right. So coming into this first day, I really don't see too much opportunity. Obviously, coming into London here, we've come into the last demand that's broken through this. So you've got obviously break, you've got your retest. So for me, buyers are in control. It's come into the bottom point. So really, really nice. Something to always remember. Let me just do liquidity. Liquidity is when you have an area like this. So you've obviously got price stepping down. When you have break here, retest and push, yes, this is a demand and it does hold value, especially if it breaks that external high. But um, based on smart money trading, based on Wyckoff theory, this will be a smart money trap. This is the prime area. Very, very good inducement based on retail liquidity. So more or less, we don't want to take trades out of this area. We want to wait for the inducement that then takes the low to then continue. Okay, just very straightforward. You'll see it now. I've pointed out. You'll see it happen a billion times. That's what we kind of look for there. So, given we've taken that, we've come into extreme demand on this pair here. The annoying part of this is actually retest of this break. So it was very, very frustrating looking at GU coming into the week. You've then got obviously your first break, pull down, second break, bottom demand, just reading into price action on the lower time frame. If we want to find where our first break is on GU, you've obviously got low, high, low, high, low. That's kind of the first break here, just to see who's in control. Remember, we're coming from supply, so we want to read into price, especially if you're trading these couple of hours, you want to read into price. So sellers can get in control from the take of this retest. Okay. Given now, normally this wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter at all because we're coming from a demand, but we are coming from a 2-hour supply. Okay. So given that's the case, sellers have and can be in control. This can simply just be inducements to take lower. That's what we've got to understand. Okay. Yes, it's predicting that could be the case, but the good thing about how we trade is you can ping pong price. So we want to try and do that. All right. So obviously, London session coming in, we've come into the demand, pushed up, sellers are in control. No break. We've then broke and retested again. So buyers are still in control. It's giving us retest here, which is quite clean. Once we take this low, nothing in this session. Absolutely nothing. EU, nothing. Okay, very, very straightforward and simple. We have not come into those points. We've now got a clear divergence between the two pairs. We've come into demand on EU, and GU has also come into the last area where buyers can get in control. Okay, so remember we've got mitigation, push, last demand, push, retest, push, buyer's point, buyer's point. Buyers make sense. That's kind of what we want to do coming into this New York session. This is where we can kind of go down the lower time frame and see if we missed anything. I don't think I took anything Monday, but we can have a look and see what's there. Obviously, coming into the session, what have we got? We've got break here, which is then retested and push. At the same time, G has mitigated and taken that. So this is something that you can look at being a bit cheeky with, which is completely valid. Kind of targeting those highs. Like I said, I don't know if this even goes, but we'll have a little look-see. GU, like I said, mitigating. No breaks for us to work with. We'll play through price slowly if that's me. You would be at break even on this. No need to cover this now. So very, very straightforward and simple. There's your 1 to 3. Does that make sense for you guys?
Yeah, for sure. You could
Yeah.
argue that that's minor induced as well. Like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
like a little 1 minute break there, and then
Yeah. No, perfect.
take
Exactly
a
right. So you've had,
minor
so the
induced.
reason we like to trade the second hour of the New York is because we want the first one to be trapped. Okay. So what has this given us? On literal open, we've pushed up, broken, small 1 minute break. minor inducement into mitigation. At the same time, GU stepped up. We've then pushed and broken, bullish price action, taken bullish price action, buyers in control on both, multiple mitigations and confirmations on EU. GU, no entry, but divergence of.
Can I ask why you've marked out that internal break on the 1 minute there on EU?
On EU. Okay, beautiful. Sure. So basically, we want to read that structure and see who's in control on EU and who's not in control on EU. So we've come into demand, we've come into timing, we've got really, really nice manipulation on the 1 minute to see what's happening. Remember, we don't know if buyers are in control or sellers are in control here until it does something after. So we've got first break, which can be an inducement to go lower. Given that this break then pulled down, retested, and pushed up, I now know that this is a break. So I know that from this point, and this is where I would normally mark out my little fucking squares, that buyers are in control from this point. Given that I've had the second confirmation telling me that buyers from this point are in control, what have we done? We've also mitigated. So buyers are in control from a buyer's point. At the moment, I will not sell. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. And at the exact same time, we're in a very, very nice bullish range on GU with low, high, same scenario. But at the same time, inducing low is actually coming to a demand. We've got inducement into mitigation from a buyer's point. Very, very all bullish price action. So we've got, if I can, we've got obviously break, mitigation, push, mitigation, push. This has created a very small range, break, retest, push. Buyers are still in control if we're following these inducements. Remember, inducements are key in telling us where price is going. We've got sellers possibly in control, buyers in control. Well, I need to know that this isn't where sellers are in control by having another bullish confirmation. What it's done is it's pulled down and pushed up again. So that's my bullish range.
That liquidity, that seller liquidity there, Jake, wasn't enough to continue pushing price lower to break the lows. And we've had a second bullish break after that, after a take of sellers' liquidity. So that's a good indication that there's buyer influence in the market from that point.
Gotcha.
Remember, Jake, we don't know if it's an inducement or a mitigation. We don't know.
Yeah.
Reason we wait for two confirmations. Remember how I said this is fractal, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, every time frame. Once I hit a point where sellers can be in control, I don't know if they're in control until I get another confirmation that buyers are in control.
Yeah.
And I know that the seller's point is disregarded. Where can sellers get in control next? I mean, we read more internal. We're going to need another inducement or we need another mitigation. Well, for me, what has this broken through? Well, it's broken through 5 minute structure. What has this broken through? 5 minute structure and then 5 minute structure again. So I've had 2 5 minute confirmations compared to one to the downside. What's the more likely chance? Who's in control? Buyers are in control. We now need to induce buyers again to then possibly flip the market, which we want to be in on the original move. That divergence, both pairs are doing the exact same thing. They're just giving different points of confirmation. This one is taking retest. This one is taking retest. And they're doing it at the same time. So
that's why timing is really important in this system.
Yes.
If you are getting so internal, timing gives you a higher likelihood that what you're seeing is intentional from the institutions because we're in a prime time that they'll trade, that they'll, enter their positions to continue through the session.
Yep.
Gotcha.
You'll get that.
It makes sense. I think I've obviously been around Forex long enough to understand the timing point of view of things. I've always heard timing is crucial. If you've got timing and then everything else is aligning, then you're in a good chance of a trade playing out.
Yeah, it's gone from 75% chance to like 90.
I think I've just got to kind of understand what are the right times. Like, for example, I've been just trading the first 2.5 hours of each session.
Yeah.
I feel like after that is it, well, the way I was trading just wasn't working. So, for example, did I not hear you before say you don't trade the first hour of New York?
Yes, I leave the first hour because that's more or less where traps happen.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can
That's just
trade
for New
2
York.
hours of one session, 2 hours of the other. Yeah, just for New York. So the London Open, they don't normally trap. Frankfurt is the trap. So the reason I trade the second hour of New York is the stock exchange opens in the second hour.
Yeah.
You've got another influx of money. So when another influx of money comes in, they need to take a bunch of liquidity for the main move. Now you can trade 2 hours of each session. That is completely fine. The reason I don't isn't because I can't. It's because mental fatigue. At some point, you're going to read too heavy into price and start seeing just like a chance everywhere.
Mm.
Like I can look at two pairs for an hour. Any longer than that, I'm like I'm set every break of structure is a fucking confirmation at that point.
I think it doesn't make sense to be on the charts for more than an hour. Like you said, the way
No.
you trade, you'd just be exhausted.
Yeah, exactly. Like, can you imagine doing this for fucking 3 hours?
Mm. You'd catch about
So
30 minutes.
that's the hour makes sense volatility wise. Also, what are the chances that in an hour where there's volatility, I see all of my confirmations that statistically prove out? Like, what is the chances? So it's worth taking a trade, getting off, and seeing what happens. Um, so we're in this. I would more or less go break even for the sole reason of GU not breaking this low here. So you've actually got break, retest, push. GU hasn't taken the original retest, it's just taken internal retest. So I would be worried with GU that we come into a point which here is a demand to supply and push lower. So we're in this now. I say mitigate risk because there's every chance that GU can push down to mitigate this low to continue up higher. By taking this low, you'll induce more sellers and people will start seeing these limits. So I kind of want to be not in this when that happens. So we've got in on the original entry, which is very, very clean and quick. I'm not interested in being this any further. Break even, 1 to 3 of the highs here. In terms of managing this long term, I wouldn't be going for like a 1 to 10 or anything stupid. I more or less would be looking at you've got break, retest. I mean, you could take full at 1 to 2 here. Being a first trade of the week, it's probably not going to run and take the highs. You may just run that there. This could just reverse now. The only reason I worry about this is retest is you've got break, retest of liquidity in here. We've then had obviously retest, break. It's then come up and mitigated this area to push down. Or it could be break, retest, push. Because the retest is so shit here, it could use this as retest, take this high and continue. Why is it taking retest? Induce more buyers into the market so that it can sell. Same with what GU is doing at the same time. So possibility of each. Very, very valid trade. I don't even think I took this one. I didn't even see it. And we'll kind of see what happens here. Okay. No break even yet. We're still holding on for dear life. GU's pushed up, so more or less I would expect now GU's induced this high. I have even more reason to come take these lows. There's so many buyers sitting in this area. I'd want to definitely be break even. I'm not looking to hold through this. See, plays out. May not even hit your 1 to 3. GU's kind of moving the market. I don't know if I took any of these. Did I take any of these? I have no fucking idea. Like this is too clean not to take. Still nothing.
Late now though.
You'd be holding literally the entire day. So this is where the worry comes in. More likely going to be a break even. I would probably wake up and just take this. You're sitting at 1 to 2 basically. I'd just take it. No way I'm holding this long. I'd probably wake up a little bit later, like here. I would probably just take the fucking profits or even move like my stop loss to like here. You've held for 10 hours and you only hit 1 to 3 and you've only got a 5.8 pip stop loss. It's not looking favorable. GU has induced a high at the same time EU has induced a high that we will look at. So it makes sense just to take full, secure 2%, come into the next day, you're up 2R for the week. That's just how I would manage it. I don't think it's worth leaving that on the table given the scenario of price.
Yeah, like he's still he's still respecting that high there.
Yeah, not beautiful.
So supply, so
yeah, given that we've induced a high on GU, we induced a high on EU, we've come into supply. I'd take for 1 to 2. Okay. If you follow this systematically, you cop to break even. Who even gives a fuck? You may even move your stop up, but you don't get done on commissions. So worth the risk. Who really cares? Move on to the next.
When you say break even, are you literally putting your stop at your entry and you're still coming out without obviously copying the commission, or are you putting it just ahead of your
No,
entry?
I will, once I secure it, I will always cop the commission unless I'm sitting at like 1 to 7 and I know it's not coming back.
Yeah.
So if I create new structure, take my 1 to 3, and then for it to take me out, it has to induce something, I'll move and cover commissions.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. You only worry about commissions when you're down.
Yeah.
So let's say you're trading on a 50K account, you've got $500 in at 1%, you lose, I don't know, $35 every time with commission. So Matt knows about this. So the other night, he got a break even and it came 0.1 off of my stop loss and then ran 1 to 8. So I would have cost myself an extra 4% because I wanted to save $42.
Yeah.
And now
I've had that happen plenty of times.
Yeah,
Covered for commissions, and you get wicked on your stop because you covered for commissions, and then it just like rockets to TP, and it's just like it's the most frustrating thing.
Focus on P&L whatsoever. Focus on analysis of the charts.
Yeah.
Hard to do. You probably cover for commissions until it takes you out and runs, and then you'll never do it again.
Yeah, you'll have to do it. Everyone's got to go through it.
Got to experience it.
It's pretty fucked.
Yeah.
All right, so beautiful. So obviously, with this pair here, what have we got? We've got new analysis we've got to do. We've got break of structure. We then had break low, which I walked through in the case study. We've come into supply. This is a break of structure, supply to demand. Given we've broken through a supply to demand, it's my first break. Okay. Where can sellers get in control of the market next? Like I just explained, we've got take of liquidity, break of structure, retest. I see anything above this as a trap. This here, like I said, more than likely a smart money because it's retest. Okay. Given that's the case, until it taps here, I'm happy to sell. Yeah, yes. I think the best way to look at it coming into the week is to just focus onto the day, is to focus where can buyers and sellers get in control. Once you've done that, you can kind of move from there. So EU has mitigated this point. Still nothing we can do yet. We'll wait till we get close to that session. Okay, GU buyers are in control. What happens at the same time is we get an external break on EU. So this could be an inducement. Remember, we're not sure. Given that they've both come into buyers' points, a lot of risk to sell now. Okay, especially with GU, not even like we've just come into demand. That's all we've done on GU. Literally, inducement into mitigation of the extreme demand in this little range. So not interested. So we need to see where sellers can get in control. We know that this area here, this did create, I think it's this area, did create a little point. Is it this area? I don't even fucking remember. Didn't even create it on FXM. Isn't that fucking funny? That's retest here. On Oanda, this actually created a demand to supply here. But it didn't on this. I guess it broke internal structure here. This area is an area of supply that broke through this low. Obviously, pull back, take of liquidity and melt. So you can mark this out. Yeah, it looks a lot different on Oanda from memory. What I'll do is I'll have a little look on Oanda. That's what Oanda looked like. A lot different. Completely fucking different. But same thing applies. Break, retest, push. This is the next area sellers can get in control. Buyers in control, sellers in control, using those two there. The only reason you look at this as a possible scenario is EU has now broken through a 15-minute low. So remember, we don't know if this is an inducement to continue back up or to continue lower. All coming from supply. Okay. So when you have into a bigger supply like this, everything can be a selling point. If this was in the middle of nowhere, you'd still be looking for buyers. Okay. So coming into the session, we will see what happens. Cool. So we've pushed up into the area. We know this is retest. We can't do anything until it takes retest. What have we also got in EU? We've got break, retest. So that's the next point sellers can get in control on EU. And then we kind of use them together and see how we fucking go. Cool. What do we get? Nice inducement on GU, which if we follow price, we've got break. Well, even the retest is different on this fucking pair. You've got break, break, pull up, inducement, break, internal break of structure here. There's your retest. Internal break. Given we've induced that retest, sellers are now in control. Internal break of structure. I entered off of this 15-second two leg here. Covering that, understanding that once we get our second confirmation here, it's valid to sell. Inducement of retest, break to the downside, internal break, not enough. We don't know if this is an inducement or a break of structure. We're not sure. We've come into the last point and pushed down. What has EU done at the same time? EU has induced this high. I think it just induced it. I know it did on Oanda. It's just induced this high into this area of supply. We weren't sure if that was retest or if it was a supply because this, obviously, this pullback broke through this low. We've then got break, retest, push. So we've had a very small inducement into the mitigation of this point here. We've then got our divergence. GU respecting, EU inducing. Break of structure. I was not in this already. I would be market executing that with a 7.5 pip stop loss, given that EU has now had its internal break as well, showing respecting. Two confirmations, sellers in control, sellers in control. Where can buyers get in control next? We've got, what's that? Internal break, retest. Buyers can now be in control here. Still haven't tapped into that. We've already pushed far too down. You don't want to be in this now. Buyers can be in control on EU, which means it's risky to have this set. You already wanted to be in it. That's why I said that market execute's probably the best go. I was in here. Understanding this is more than likely a weak demand as this is actually 5-minute retest. So if I jump on the 5-minute, no, it actually took it on FXM. So this is a valid demand. You'd want to be at break even, which I am already. You've got buyers possibly in control, sellers possibly in control, EU, sellers in control, buyers possibly in control. Can't send anything, can't do anything now. Fuck around, break. You're looking to enter now. What do you need? This is obviously inducing as this is mitigating, so there's nothing we can do yet unless GU tells us that it's going to have sellers in control. There's your push up there and your break. The sellers are in control on GU. You can now go ahead and set that as a limit if you wanted to. I don't think it taps it. EU in supply. So at the same time as GU giving us two confirmations, EU has come into a seller's point. Okay, so sellers in control, sellers in control. Both are lining up, no divergence, which means they're not going to change directions, which means we're going down. Would like to enter EU, it's valid to, internal break. This is a very, very hard entry based on the divergence alone. That's it. That is your only confirmation. Two leg from supply into divergence. What have you got? Internal break. That's your invalidation. Given GU is sellers are in control, where can buyers get in control? just fucked around forever. Still be in this. Break even. And that's already past session, but that would be your entry you take after the session. Break even, obviously targeting the external low, and kind of go from there. Okay, so very valid trades on both. This trade is very, very hard to enter and very hard to hold through. You have to hold the invalidation part of things. Obviously, you'd already be in G and G doesn't come back up. Jump down to 5 minutes, past timing anyway. Taking the external low, I'm not so much as interested in that limit, so no entry here. You would then be holding to that external low. This is the trade I was in. In terms of targets, obviously, sellers are in control here. Buyers cannot get in control here. It's obviously shown it's not going to happen. Where's our next entry? Like I explained before, we've got internal break, retest, push. This is where that retest comes in. That's the next place buyers can get in control. Kind of target that. We can look at coming into New York. All right, so valid, very, very tough one. You'd have to get in early and then hold. Obviously, there was news and things as well. So very, very tough entry, this one. This entry that's just about to happen now is the best entry I've seen in a long time. This is the one Matt called the break even on. And this is the one that I happened to get into. So we're coming into timing on point. What have we got? We've got an inducement into mitigation on G over our external 15 minute. We still haven't broken 15 minutes to the downside. This is our external range. Okay. Inducement, mitigation into extreme. Where is our break even? Where is our invalidation? Well, we've got internal break. What does that lead to? Retest. So we are happy to hold this until it hits that retest. I don't view this supply as valid, given that the demand we're acting from holds a lot more weight. Okay, so that is the invalidation point. What is happening on EU at the same time? We are taking our 15-minute low and inducing. New York is commonly known for a New York reversal, given that the Asian range and the London range line up, it'll more than likely induce a low to continue and reverse. If we jump on the 15-minute, what also is happening? We're taking external low. Just given basic understanding of ranges, when you create a new range, you get a retracement. Okay? We're not expecting this to necessarily take the high because it's breaking external range. It can, but it's going to give us a retracement to induce more buyers again to then continue. Okay? Basic just understanding of what could happen with structure. Timing is key. This entry itself was fucking interesting. I don't know how it's going to go on FXCM, but we'll fucking see. You watch, there won't even be a fucking entry. We will see. Okay, so let's follow on with inducements. This is how I marked it out exactly. We've got obviously inducement. We've now broken high. How do we know that this is an inducement and not a break of structure? Well, we need another confirmation to the upside. What do we get? No confirmation to the upside, showing me that sellers are still in control. What is happening at the exact same time? Well, on GU, we had break here. Remember, follow along. Same structure. Break, retest. Is it an inducement? Is it a break of structure? Well, let's find out. Break, retest here. So this is the next point sellers can get in control. Well, how do we know they're in control? We need another confirmation. So liquidity. Break. What do we get? Retest, push. Second confirmation, buyers are in control. As far as I'm concerned, you can set this. This is valid to set. You don't need any other confirmations for this. There is nothing that invalidates this. You can take this, okay? 8 pip stop loss, not fucking interested in, but this is valid to set. Coming from extreme, break and retest. This is a weak supply, given it's a retest. Given that this is the extreme of the range, in a bullish range, you can take it. Valid to set every day of the week. You don't even need to wait for any more confirmations. Your break even would be this high, and then you can obviously target what you need to target. Okay. So if you're looking for a simple entry, hard to read. Once you've seen it, this is the exact same entry as the day before. Exact same. Funnily enough, happened at the exact same time. Very valid to set. Okay. What happened at that point? EU minor induce. So we know that medium inducement, which is the take of a 15-minute low, minor inducement, break of structure gives an entry model for us. It plays out at 80%, 85%. What is the chances that buyers get in control on GU and you get a medium inducement, minor inducement on EU? So just off the face of that, you can wait for a break of structure and enter. Obviously, very, very risky to do so. So we're going to wait a little bit longer and see what happens. We then get Low, high, low, high. Okay, cool. Very, very nice. 1 minute break of structure. You can set it off that. Now, this is where it happened very fucking quickly. You got, and I'll have to go down to the 15-second time frame for this. You had break, retest, break. This happened in literally 30 seconds. I market executed off of the 2 minute point. I actually set it off the 1 minute break. I didn't wait for the retest, so I sat through the retest. That was the prime entry. Taking retest into that. Another confirmation as we induced into the mitigation, GU induced into the mitigation of a weak point. So we know that it's going to induce sellers. At the same time, we're going to have a bullish point which holds more value on EU. So that divergence was enough for me to hold.
EU is also in a 2-hour demand as well. As it minor induced, it pulled into a 2-hour demand.
Beautiful. No, 100%. So yes, we actually came into a point as well. So extra confirmation, inducement into mitigation. Fucking go down to a low enough time frame. So we've induced into a mitigation. You've got medium inducement, minor inducement entry. We've got inducement into mitigation, 2 confirmations, on timing, GU divergence. There's nothing else you need here. In terms of where the next week low is, you've got next week high, you've got break, retest. That is your invalidation. You don't go break even until it takes that. Okay, which for this entry is already a 1 to 4. I got slipped like a little bitch there and held the same thing anyway. 1 to 3 was actually, I reckon it was higher. I reckon it was 5-3, 5-1. My 1 to 3 was that. I held through this and acted like I still had a 2.5 pip stop loss. So I technically risked more than 1%. Given the confirmations, was happy to hold. He obviously fucking around. Take of high, break even. Actually, I reckon my entry was 4-1. Okay. Obviously on this, 1 to 3 already taken out. Once we've induced, funnily enough, where can sellers get in control? Like we said, sellers in control, both happened at the same time. Too risky to hold now because it can just do this. Matt's entry, which is actually a valid entry. If you look at basic structure, we've got break, retest, take of retest. We've now created a new structure between here and here. It is valid to actually set this point, which would be your entry. What does price do to be an absolute asshole? It comes and induces that entry, which is where technically Matt got in, which is a valid entry to hold. Induce that. GU came into a 10-minute point, which is why I was willing to expect that this could go back up and then push. So this is the one, if I had covered for commissions, it would have taken me out. Yeah. Okay. In terms of targets, this passed like 3 challenges for me. So I targeted just 1 to 8, which is all I needed. But given what had happened, you've got break, retest. It actually makes sense to cover here, which I think it runs 1 to 10, which is where I would normally hold. GU, like I said, was valid to take in the first place. Understanding that you would go break even once the take of that high, your 1 to 3 wouldn't be hit. So like this entry is valid to be in while all this shit is happening. If you don't even want a complicated entry. 1 to 3 smacked here. In terms of your long-term target, it makes sense to just target the highs. Given that this is a weak point, this is a weak area, or you could target the recent supply, expecting an inducement, or you just target the highs, okay? For a 1 to 5. All is necessary. Understanding that we're still bullish on the 15-minute. It's just the divergence on EU not targeting the highs because we're not bullish on the 15-minute anymore. We've created a break structure to the downside. This fucks around, does its thing.
This is a really clean trade, Jake. When Brad does the case study for this one, it'll be a good one to really like sink your teeth into. This is
like bread and butter A+ trade for me.
Yeah.
Like this is one I would enter and risk multiple % on, just given how clean it is.
It seems like there's a lot of confluences there when you're, talking about it before.
Yes, like you've got medium inducement, minor inducement entry, which we know plays out at a high clip. You've then got timing, inducement into mitigation, divergence with GU, multiple confirmations. You've got break and retest entry to enter to start with. You've then got break and retest and break and retest as a second entry. You've also got GU as an entry. Like there's just so much against momentum, which they
So
love.
in Matt's case, where he obviously, say for example, that happens again, all those confluences, does he do anything different next time? Does he just hold through that, or do you still manage it the way he managed it?
This is the problem with hindsight. I could give you that answer, but next time could be a loss.
Yeah, okay. So you'd rather.
Hindsight is a bitch. So Matt needs to decide in the future if he's going to hold every time or break even every time. For me,
That
I
just
would just
comes.
break even and accept it's a break even. Exactly what Matt's done because of the amount of trades and possibilities there are.
Yeah, and that would just come through data, right?
Yes, exactly right. So
Yeah.
this is the annoying part, right? So Matt's gone break even on this one. It ran 1 to 10. Perfect. Matt would have fucking cleaned up on this trade. Well, if Matt had held, he can then not go break even on the next one because -1 doesn't matter. Whereas if next time he takes the -1 loss, his entire statistics are now skewed and he's down 1% when he should be up 6 or 5. So that's where it fucks you. Now he's gone break even on the first. I would always go break even.
And yeah, this one was like a bit unlucky because my entry was actually just off the first break as well. I just had a funny thing with my MetaTrader because it was a new account. It came up with terms and conditions I had to accept. So, and there was probably a little millisecond of personal hesitation as well on market executing that first break. And because of that, that pushed my entry up, I think my entry was 477 or something.
Yeah.
Put it up like another pip, hence the break even.
Yeah.
So yeah, my entry was just straight off the first break and just kind of got a bit unlucky with the slippage on it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but that's just to me, going break even at that take of retest coming from supply in a bearish leg is definitely worth the break even.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because like even if you look at this, even if you'd managed it how I managed it, the chances that I actually stayed in this is ridiculous. Like, let's be fucking really honest here. Like, this induced the low by literally zero point 0.1 of a pip. Like, when the fuck does that happen? It normally comes a bit further. Like, I shouldn't have been in
Do you
there.
remember? Do you remember the screenshot, the MetaTrader screenshot you sent, Brad? And it was like at the end. It was like at your entry.
Well, yeah,
Like,
literally at
but it
it.
just didn't slip you out. You just
It's just, yeah, this one's just like a hindsight thing. Like,
yeah.
I should have been taken out. I'm surprised I wasn't.
Really,
Whereas the
really
first
nice
one,
trade. Heaps
yeah,
of confluences, heaps of confirmations. Like it's a good example of like what we're looking for in prime setups.
yes, exactly right. Given the timing, New York reversal, like it's just it ticks every box, which is clean. Um, very difficult one to take because on the 15-minute you're bearish, but given inducement rules and not understanding if it's an inducement or a break of structure, you can ping pong it, which is quite clean.
And that's like what Brad was saying before, because we don't know if it's a break of structure or an inducement. It does work on both sides of the market because you can, if it's a break of structure, you can at least expect a retracement. So if you're getting bullish confirmations after the take of the low, it still makes sense even if it's a seller's market because it could be the retracement or it could be the inducement. So that's why medium inducements add a fair bit of probability to the trade because it works on in a buyer's perspective and a seller's perspective.
Yeah, exactly right. And like I was explaining to you, Jake, when I spoke to you the other day, we want to induce shit. So when you take 15-minute structure, if it hasn't taken enough in the first place, it needs to then retrace to induce people again and then come back down. So you've got playing at those types of things, which is why the timing part just works so cleanly.
Makes sense.
So these couple of days, quite a nice couple of days. So we've got basically Monday, you would have caught that 1 to 2, depending on how you manage it. You've got a 1 to 3 on EU, which makes sense if you don't catch GU, which is a 1 to 7. And then you've got either the 1 to 3, which you definitely catch on GU, or EU, which you catch the 1 to 10. So like a really good couple of days, depending on your luck, what pair you enter, your experience on what pair to enter, you should have taken one. That's, I think, the appropriate thing is you should have tried to at least take one. It just then comes to luck, experience, where your market entry gets in. That's how you manage this shit. The reason,
On Brad's, oh, sorry, Brad.
no, you're right. The
On your
reason,
G,
you go first.
you
You
go,
go
you
first,
go.
Matt. You're right. You go.
I was just thinking before on that the GU sell that you took. I'm starting to see the value in getting in early.
Yeah.
Like a lot of stuff. Like I'll probably hesitate a little bit more than Brad because he's far more experienced. So, but now that I'm kind of seeing that value of getting in early, once if the context is right, it can just take you to the next seller's point, but you're already break even. Whereas in some cases, I'll be waiting for an extra confirmation when I've probably already got enough to enter the trade.
That's
And
where
that will sometimes fuck me over.
is so nice to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because like I said, what's the chance of being wrong every fucking session? Like
Yeah.
you just need one that goes 1 to 7 and you're good for the month. Like the chance of you're not going to take 7 losses in a row because you've got break evens and all the rest of it. You just got to stick to your rules in not letting hindsight fuck you. That's really what it comes down to.
Obviously, it just comes with experience, eh? I mean, when you do get in that early entry, it just gives you that extra kind of safety buffer.
Yes, exactly right. So like that entry on GU news was coming out. So I was like, cool, I got 15 minutes. Let me get in this thing. I can go break even, cover myself, and hold a full position, understanding that I'm going this direction. And the reason, and I'll give you guys this little bit of understanding, the reason I took EU here instead of GU is given the size of the range. So given GU was so 50-50 in between this, and EU had created such a large range, we hadn't induced anything yet. So GU was clean, and before I would have taken GU, but GU has less of a chance to run higher given EU. Okay, so it's just something eventually there'll be a trade you take where you take one and it sits there and you're like a 1-to-1, and the other pair is like 1-to-12, and you're like, you stupid motherfucker. This is the reason behind that is the amount of liquidity it can induce.
I was just going to ask, is that just because of liquidity? There's a lot more liquidity sitting in the EU range.
Yeah, 110%.
Than that tiny little GU range.
Yeah. Just for that sole reason of, I've got all these highs here, which are the retest. My retest is so much further away. Whereas with GU, my retest was, 1-to-2. So yeah, it's just that difference. I will very rarely take one on each pair, but this is actually a scenario where you could have. Being you would have been in GU a little bit before EU. I don't suggest taking two pairs at the same time, but GU would have been in 3 minutes before EU. So you've got a bit of time to think. This is actually a really nice example of where you can do that. And then obviously we push back down. So you would have caught 1-to-3 on GU, and then you would have held, like I said, to the highs, which you get. Okay, it would have just been a whole day hold. EU nice and quick, over and done with, which is quite nice. Come through the next day. Okay, so once we get this choppiness, we are looking for more of a reversal. So what you'll understand is when you get, so this counts as a break of structure to the downside, very, very small internal break, but it is a break. You've actually broken 15-minute structure here. It's just very, very shitty because you didn't break external, okay? When you have this happen, the next time you pull down out of a supply, it's more than likely going to take the lows, okay? So just the psychology behind traders, you've got cool, break of structure, quick sell, you motherfucker, it's taken me. People buy now and get screwed, okay? It's just normally how it works, and I know that because I've been on the opposite end of it. Plus, if you think of the logical way of if something's reversing, it needs to slow momentum. How it does that is break down, break up, break down, go. Okay? Very, very simple. Just keep that in your mind. It's more of like a schematic of what it looks like for a reversal, okay? You get the slowing of price, break low, break high, break low, then it goes, okay? Especially when we've been so fucking bullish, okay? The first breakdown is normally just to fuck people. So given that's the case, we jump on the 15-minute. I would actually count this as, and I said this on the live coming into it, as a medium inducement. I count it as a medium inducement, especially for mitigation of this point. Not only with that, we've come basically 50% up into this point as well. This is a large point, so now we've pushed further in it. Slowdown of momentum, further in the point. EU's showing that it wants to go further lower. these things added together, I was happy to sell. Now, based on coming into this session, what have we got? News obviously screwed us, but we've got, if we read into this, you've obviously got break, take of that retest there, push. This didn't lead to shit. If we actually read structure, you've got high, low, high here, retest, which has not, actually, it's taken the retest here. You've got extreme area that sits here, quite clean. So these are more or less the areas I'm worried about. You've then got retest, push, take a retest, valid demand. Okay? Very, very straightforward and simple, but very valid. So buyers are in control from this point here. Will this hold? We'll fuck around and find out. In terms of what we've got up here, break, retest, push, bearish break of structure. Bearish break, retest, push. Okay. So the only reason this supply held any value, it's an inducement into a mitigation. This is an inducement into a mitigation. It's literally 50-50. We can ping pong the fuck out of price, but you've got to understand, where can buyers be in control? Where will sellers be in control? Well, we've got our buyer's point that sits in here, buyer's point that sits in here. We've then got our first internal break on GU here. And then you've got that retest there. So sellers, buyers. Buyers in control, sellers in control. Cool. The way we know buyers are in control, we need break, take of retest. So we've created a retest and push. So when buyers can get in control, it'll take this retest again. What have we done? We've taken retest. So we've got another 50-50 fucking thing again. We've come into a mitigation and push. So now we've got supply, demand. This is fucking confusing because it's literally a Newsweek. It's a bitch to read, but we're literally 50-50. This demand will hold value once we break through this high, but this is the supply that's broken low. So we've got supply, demand. Literally, that's all it is. What's happening on EU at the same time? We've got break, retest, push. Break here. We've then got retest, push. We've then taken retest and pushed again. Break, retest, push. So this is the next time buyers can get in control. This is very confusing. This case study I'll have to do on this trade is fucking a bit annoying because it's so full on. It's fucked. Okay, so seller's area, buyer's area. Going with momentum, this took retest. This holds a lot more value to push. Open on, we've opened and pushed. Okay. Let's jump down and have a little look-see. So seller's area, buyer's area. What have we got? Break. Retest. Buyer's area, seller's area. Buyers are in control until we reach here. Once we reach here, buyers are in control once we take this. Okay? Very, very straightforward and simple in understanding that. This is where it gets fucking interesting. So if we watch, EU does not take that low, which means buyers are still not in control on EU. We're still coming from this supply here. We've got break, retest, mitigation, push, push, push. Sellers, 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 sellers. We're mitigating the entire way down. Mitigation, 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 mitigation. Buyers not in control. It is just literally building up liquidity to the downside to understand that's in control. This was a 1 second point, just to let you know. I'm not going to go down and have a look at it, but we've come into the top supply, break of structure, buyers, sellers. Sellers in control. There's no buyers in control on EU, even though they are on GU. What have they got in common? Sellers and sellers. Sellers point, sellers in control. This then gave a 15-second two-leg, which took an entry off of. I don't know what the fucking stop loss was. Break even was that point there. 1 to 3-ish. Understanding that you can also sell on EU as well, but you would have to basically set it at any one of these points. EU, the only problem I had is it was so close to this buyer's point, it had a chance of doing this and then selling. So you would have got tapped in. Once you get tapped in on EU, you're so close to your break-even point that it can't retrace. The reason I like GU is it could enter me in and kind of do this and build up some internal liquidity, push, and therefore it doesn't have to come all the way back up to extreme. So that was quite nice. Whereas EU, it had to come all the way back up to extreme, possibly even induce liquidity to continue lower. So that's why I didn't like EU over GU. Both sellers in control. Obviously, I'm in. This takes this. I'm break even now anyway. Buyers can be in control. Now, this is where the divergence comes in. EU, like I've explained, and like I said, this would come up. Break, retest. This point, more than likely a smart money trap. Remember, this is not a buyer's point. This is a cheeky fucking how you doing point. Not interested in it. People are going to be induced at this point and they're going to be liquidated. It happens over and over again. Don't get trapped in that. Yes, this is coming to this and this is coming to this. I was more or less thinking that this point wouldn't hold, which means this will more likely keep melting as well. Happen, keep melting. Okay. For me, buyers still not in control. EU showing definite sellers in control. It's coming to this buyer's point, which I think you had marked out, Matt. The reason I wasn't worried about it is because where GU was. That was the only reason. From there.
That's right. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, because you had that marked out. I was concerned about it until GU wasn't breaking this low. So GU showing sellers break, EU showing sellers break, mitigation, no fucking buyers. This point was just getting absolutely just disregarded. That lining up with GU racking out of that point, quite happy to hold. Understanding where price is going, I think I took fall at this. I want to say this low here at like a 1 to 5, I reckon. I can't even remember, to be honest. Looking back at it, so I took fall at the take of this low, and I had to think a bit of a bit stop. No, I took fall here, 1 to 5. Given the two scenarios, I should have held 1 to 12. No buyers points holding off here. It's just more or less once EU induces this low, we can then get a retracement. And because GU hadn't broken 15-minute structure yet, I didn't want buyer's point, go, leave fucking 4% on the table. Okay? Especially when you look at the GU trade from the other night where it literally pipped my fucking take profit and went. So this is where hindsight's a bitch. Okay? Because I think this runs like 1 to 17 or something stupid. I had 1 to 5, which is like there-ish. Full take profit. EU's now inducing a low and then melt. Very difficult one. It's going to be a bitch to walk through because I'm going to have to walk through on the 15-second, but quite a nice entry and understanding. So you'll see, Jake, when price is so compact, you can literally just ping pong the fuck out of it. You've just got to understand where sellers and where buyers can get in control and what to trap and what's not.
I think it's powerful, one, how you trade, like you just said, you can ping pong, but the fact that you can actually watch an opposite pair, which tells you and it adds an extra confluence.
It's nuts.
It's very powerful.
It's like it, and this is where
strong correlation.
Yeah, and this is where we fucked up on the Thursday when I walked through the trade on the invalidation, how one slip up can fuck you. And then you can take a loss. You've got to use the power of both. So we'll obviously come into there, not much we can do here. So given that we've induced into the mitigation of this point, we can start to look for buyers. I don't think there's necessarily anything. I think news comes out of something stupid. So we've got 15-minute inducement into our final point. We've obviously induced on EU as well. No structure on EU to really work with. I think I sent out a couple of options with here, but there's nothing to work with, unfortunately. You've got low, the high, you've got break, retest, and push. Until it takes that, buyers really can't be in control. Like I said, all of this will just be treated as a smart money trap, nonetheless, to the point where sellers can get in control again. So you've got break, where can sellers get in control here? So for me, sellers are in control. You've also got this point, which is a demand to supply. It's here. So literally, like it's 50-50. EU is giving you absolutely nothing. It's just making its way up slowly. Very, very complex pullback like, which when it's like this, you kind of gone. Okay. Very, very simple. You've got break, retest. So that's seller's point here. That's induced that. That's induced that. Nothing we can fucking do. Cool. It showed a break of structure. Like, we still can't fucking do anything. I think it just melts. Cool. Okay, so very, very straightforward and simple. I actually think this came into another demand to supply. Like there's so many along here. When it's like this and there's so many points and you're so bearish and you're just building up liquidity to the downside, it's best just to stay out. We've then taken the low where buyers can get in control. No confirmations. Keep melting. EU keep melting. EU actually came into this point here. Very clean. You've got break, retest into demand to supply. At the same time on GU, you're getting an inducement of a demand to supply at the exact same time. Divergence is showing that one's in control, one's not. So we need to see break and retest. This does try and do it. Break, try to retest and go. No can do. Sellers in control. Sellers in control. See you later. Traps. Target liquidity. No way to get in this. The new random fuck. It wasn't even used. Just a random spike. No entry. But this is where the GU trade comes in and it's a bitch, which just keeps melting. So one of those ones that you kind of want to fucking fight someone. Wait to come
Do you understand the domestic supplies, Jake? Because I know AJ never. I don't really understand it.
I've got a rough idea. It wasn't something that I knew about, but ever since I joined up, just the whole week I've just been going on videos, and I haven't kind of passed something until I understand it. But I understand it. It's just trying to visually see it on the charts. So yeah,
training your eye to it. Yeah,
but they are very powerful, aren't they?
Yeah, they're good spots. Yeah,
clean.
Yeah,
clean. All right, so this is where there was kind of a misread in price. Okay, coming into the day, just to let you know, the moment you get price build up equal highs, sweep the equal highs, and break structure, do not fucking trade out of this point. Do not even fucking look. That should have been the first thing on EU. EU took equal highs. Just don't fucking look here. It's pushing through it. It is the most obvious seller's trap ever. Just never even look. It's something I missed coming into the session because I was actually looking to sell here. Like just fucking ridiculous. So this point is just a no-go. So we should have all known this was being absolutely fried. In understanding that, we may have actually caught something earlier. So I'll have a look, see what there is. You've obviously got here, break, pull down, mitigation of this supply to demand. Once it comes into this supply to demand, you've got inducement into the mitigation of this supply to demand area, which is the decisional for this 1 minute break. Like I said, everything's fractal. What have we then got? Break, retest. Doesn't lead to a break, unfortunately. So there's no retest in there. Didn't lead to that break. No, we didn't miss anything, which is beautiful. So could have been a bit cheeky there, but no entry. So understanding that that point is the literal joke. Just do not trade out of equal high sweep.
That's just a classic SMC.
Oh, dude. Point, the amount of fucking goobers that had that set. Ridiculous. So now this is where it gets a bit interesting. So this is where the misread was. GU is valid here. So we've got, obviously, break. What break was it? It was the bigger break. So you've got external low here. Really, really nice 15-minute low. Break, retest, push. We've taken retest. So medium inducement, 15-minute structure. Very, very clean. At the same time, we're looking to come take this. Obviously, we don't take a trade in here, so we're not fucking interested. We've then got the mitigation of this point here. I believe is a demand to supply again. Maybe it's not. It's actually, okay, so this is where the first bit of caution should have been known. This point here is a retest of an internal break. Okay? So just to think, this point can hold, but given where we're coming from, and I need to explain this as well, we've got inducement into a mitigation of a point that I didn't like because it's that like retest, that shitty smart money fucking look, which we never want to trade out of. Okay. So that's why I didn't like it. So I view this point And this point just as shitty. Okay, so I was happy to sell, understanding that they're both shitty and I wanted to take more liquidity. But EU is reacting from a 15-minute point, which broke through the high, the external high, and this point is a supply to demand. Okay, so EU was kind of moving the market given what had happened. We've come into this, look at the liquidity. I mean, fucking Jesus. This should have been the outlook that more or less we've got a higher chance of coming to take this, so we need to proceed with caution. Okay. Coming into the session, like I said, we've pushed up, induced this high, so really, really good for sells. We can basically jump down to the 1 minute and have a little look. Play price. Yeah, okay. Inducement into mitigation. Really, really nice clean take of this. This is where the extensive read on EU was missed. Okay, just because this smart money trap is a smart money trap point and it's garbage does not mean it doesn't create supply to demands. It is still a supply point, and this is where it kind of manipulated price. So we've got point here, which swept the high, created the low. So this is a supply to demand. We've then mitigated this point and pushed. From this point, we've then broken, funnily enough, low again. So supply to demand. What point broke through the high? This point here. This point here then led to the break. So this is a supply to demand point. Okay. So we can look for buys here. Yes, it's only broken the recent high, but it is valid to look. If we look on a lower time frame, what do we also have as well? Break, that stupid little retest fucking that we love that I said to look out for. Break, which is this internal break here. I have to go down a lower time frame to have a look. So you've got this. Remember we said this break structure, and that's a supply to demand, which also makes mitigation, break of structure, supply to demand. Okay, so you've got inducement, mitigation into a supply to demand, which then created a new supply to demand. Out of that, we had break, retest. Retest, remember, this is more than likely a trap area. Inducement, mitigation, supply to demand. This was the fucking hard read on EU. This is why we're better off just to sit out for the day, understanding where we are in the conflict. But this was the invalidation for this trade. Without EU, it is worth sending your life on this GU sell, and I'll walk through as to why. So we've got, I don't know where we entered. I cannot remember. Where did we enter? Didn't even break on FXCM, did it? That's crazy. So FXCM didn't actually give a break. Actually, here we go. So we've got break, pull down, push. So you've got internal break, which has led into break, retest, and push. So I set it off that, understanding that none of this means anything. That's my internal range. You've got break and retest. Funnily enough, once it took the external range, it obviously holds less value anyway, but we've got inducement to mitigation, timing, etc., etc. That's where I went ahead and set my limit. 6.5. I think, Matt, you got in off a 15-second two-leg here, which got induced, which then leads to a break. Now, this is so A+. You've got external break of structure, two-leg. Okay, you've got two confirmations. Valid to set. What the fuck has EU done? Inducement into mitigation of that 3-minute supply to demand. This is now invalid. We are inducing low as we induce low into a buyer's point. It is time to get the fuck out. This is where it is now time we go break even. Even Dylan set this after this break. Like he said, it was completely valid. Then we went through and sat through and realized that EU was being a dog. We've come into this point, buyer's point. If we don't push through this is invalid to set. What do you get off of that? Absolutely smoke show. Push through. Thanks for coming. EU driving the market. Going down to lower time frame, there is no entry. No way to get in buys today. I've gone over this price action so many times, and there is just no way to get into a buy. You would have to set this as a limit, which I think is way too difficult, given that we did induce high. And at the moment we've induced high, we need to induce low, but this could be enough to drive price to the downside. Okay, so it is valid to set inducement into mitigation of this point. understanding that you'll break even the moment that it breaks the internal high and induces more buyers. That's the only area to look at, but this is a continuation entry, is a very difficult entry to set. Very, very difficult. How it should have been done, and this is if I could go back how I would do it, I would be in this trade, I would go break even, I would then market execute this inducement, and I would then hedge myself. Understanding that if this pushes through this low, I take a loss. If this pushes through this high, I take a win. Either way, you cover your ass. These are the only 2 points in price where sellers and buyers have a manipulation. I'm in on this trade in profit. I can go break even, which means I'm guaranteed to walk away with a win. That is how I would manage it. Or you go break even and walk the fuck away and hope to God that you don't get a break even. That is the only way to manage that. There is nothing else to do, unfortunately. And then unfortunately for us, and this was the exact outlook I had on the week on EU, we absolutely rode to the upside. Okay.
It's like
nothing.
Further like to what you're saying before about like the EU range and all that liquidity just sitting there. Hence, you got the reaction that we got, and that also kind of lends itself to the invalidation of the GU.
Yep.
Trade 100%. As well.
In terms of New York, price played out perfectly. In terms of this came into the 10-minute point, which we had the hazard the invalidation. We then had break, retest, push, take a retest. What do we have here? That inducement of that low. So you've got break, retest, break, take a retest, both at the same time. There is no entry to catch this. It gives you absolutely fucking nothing. Nothing we can take anyway. You get a 1 minute break, you would have to market execute on a 1 minute break. And same with this one here. You've obviously got break. It didn't retest that. There's just no way of getting in. Unfortunately, so we get to watch price literally move the entire week's worth of price and we can't catch it, which sucks. Absolute nutsack. Coming into the next bit of price action, we've obviously understand that this has broken through a 15-minute low, so this supply is now worth looking at. In terms of where we are, we've got break, retest, push. So we've taken retest into the mitigation of this extreme point, which I think like there's a 5-minute point that sits in here, which we mitigate. And what does GU do? Continue to push to the upside. Okay. There is a 4-hour point. So understanding that EU isn't going to hold. This point is not, I do not think it's going to hold. We're going to keep inducing people into the market, especially given those equal highs. I expect on GU we're going to retest this area. So I marked out the entire area of the break as an institutional area, which I had as that. But that's the break there you can mark out. We've taken retest into the mitigation of this area. Either or is worth it. Okay. Just understanding EU's not going to hold. I was okay to understand that GU's going to have some manipulation in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Coming into this day, obviously, like I said, we've induced into the mitigation of that extreme point. We then had really good manipulation on the 15-minute. Great 15-minute structure. Great divergence. Mitigation, inducement. Really good 15-minute break to the downside on both. This is showing inducement high while sellers are being respected. And coming into this session, this is where we kind of get fucked with this. So we've got break and break. So sellers are in control from this top supply. Where can buyers get in control? Well, we've got this isn't retested, so I'm not too concerned. But we've got obviously take of order flow, 5-minute break, retest area. So buyers can get in control here. In terms of, and now I've got to remember how the fuck I read this, in terms of how sellers can get in control, again, we've got break, retest, push. So more than likely, buyers are not going to gain control because we've retested. If I jump on the 15-minute, maybe it's a 30-minute point. Actually, I reckon it's an hourly point. Hourly supply. It's the only supply I could find on any time frame that makes sense. At the same time, GU induced and mitigated that 15-minute structure. So medium inducement, into that area of supply. So I've got sellers in control on both. We've got a 15-minute high take, obviously. Great manipulation. Here I was just looking for an entry given the timing. You want to look on a lower time frame as well. If you've got break, retest area, which is also a mitigation area. There is the mitigation here. Break. Here. Retest. Break, which is where I set. I think I set it off of like that. Yeah. At the exact same time. Break. Retest. Limit. They both did the same thing. Where can they get in control next? Retest. So that's the only important structure in this leg. I see nothing else as important. Absolutely nothing. Break. Retest. 1 to 5 or something. I didn't have that big of a stop loss. I didn't cover the high. If I go on the 1 minute, I'll show you where I covered. Price makes no more sense to come any higher than that. I did that. Full take profit 1 to 5 because it's clean and easy. GU, we've got external break, retest. Target that. Straightforward and easy. Okay, coming into London, into New York. Back to the 5 minute. We haven't reached the demand yet on GU. We just haven't reached it yet. That is the retest we haven't done anything with. We've got break, retest. This was the new structure we created. Obviously, break, retest, new structure. What do we do on G, on EU? I think it was external break, retest, new structure. Timing, couldn't take because of the news week. 2 leg. Week low. 1, 2 with retest. 1 break, which then led to that break. Set above the retest. Cover the highs. Next point where buyers can get in control. And melt. A quadruple plus entries that we just couldn't take because of news. Just unfortunately, nothing we can do. Break retest showing clear sellers in control. Mitigation, what does the inducement up of the retest do? Brings buyers in. What does it do? Bring buyers in. Trend line, buyer's point, etc., etc. Okay. Remember, like I said, because we've come into this point again, we're going to want to induce people, which means we're going to break through the next structural low. More likely going to push up. Needs to bring in sellers first. Complex pullback, impulse. So many confirmations in that sense. Just nothing we can do. Does that make sense? That's all Gucci.
Yeah, absolutely. Just news is super annoying.
Yeah, I'll explain in this way, right? So if we're coming from a supply, we've come into this point. Once price breaks, retests, breaks, takes retest, and breaks again, this is now my new range. Remember the structure cycle. That's my external high, that's my external low, that's my internal high, that's my internal low. Until price hits a point that can come and break an external high, it's going to follow internal momentum. GU, that's there, so it's going to continue to follow internal. I don't need to worry about my external high. EU, that's my point here. GU kind of held the value for that. Does that make sense, Jake? Everything is the structure cycle in every single way. Break and retest, take of retest, new structure, indicates new structure until price hits a point where buyers can then get in control to break that new structure to come to an extreme.
Yeah.
Okay? You've got to, and this will take some time, just weighing out what liquidity means what in the sense of liquidity. And once you understand that, you'll be able to know how far something can go. That's actually possible. Sweet. All right. So obviously I won't count any of these trades, which sucks nuts. You've got this GU, so you've got 15R that's possible. You've got this 1 to 3, which ends up running 1 to 6, where you would take your full take profit at the high. You've got 5, 20, plus this one, which was a harder entry as well. So you got 27R on GU of possible return, given that you just take full take profit. EU, you've got 1 to 2. You've then got 1 to 4, so 6R plus the 10R, 16R, not including those. So the first 3 days, you've got 27R on GU, and then EU, you've got 13R. 40R in the first 3 days available profit if you take full take profit. Just following structure, not including these nice ones here. This one would have been a break even given if we could go back 110% and you can't catch the buy. So lots of opportunity in those 3 days, just understanding where we're coming from and where we're heading. Very, very clean. So